The Seismic 7, Chapter 15, Part 1. No. The cavern might as well be collapsing around me. I shake my head, refusing to believe it. No, not again. We saved the world. We saved it. I swear this time we saved it. Miss McNamara? Todd asked. What's going on? I get to my feet, vomit threatening to build up and explode out like the sludge cement we spent all evening pouring. No, Kinsey whispers. Her face drains of color. To our other side, Raquel and Eddie edge backward. Round them up, Miss McNamara says. Then men with guns, including Mr. Stiles and Mr. Fee, move toward us. I take a swing at the one who reaches me first, but he easily scoops me up, carrying me across the cavern. Let me go! I scream. Fury rides off me in waves. How could you? I spin toward Miss McNamara, pounding my fist into the back of the man holding me. I kick at his stomach, but he doesn't seem to care. You were supposed to be on our side, Todd yells. Kinsey, swearing up an inarticulate storm, gets shoved into one of the pods by the wall and locked into it. I realize that's where I'm heading to. I fight even harder. Why are you doing this? Wyatt screams. We had to get you to finish the job, Miss McNamara explains. Her entire demeanor has changed. We can't fit down those tunnels, and we needed the cement laid. I should never have trusted you, Raquel says, getting locked into a pod herself and glaring at Miss McNamara. She might as well glare at me, too. It's my fault she and Eddie went along with any of this. The guilt rips through me like a white-hot bolt of lightning. My fingernails scrape into the man carrying me, more like dragging me by now, and I'm thrown into a pod as well. The cage bars slam in front of me, locking me in. You filthy snot-faced! Kinsey launches into a string of swears. The betrayal pours out of her in painful bursts, like a string of manic geysers, and my heart crumbles into pieces in my chest. We're all locked up now, helpless as the men lower their guns and go back to stand with Dr. Greer, Miss McNamara, and Nolan. Nolan! Eddie reaches out. Why are you doing this? Why are you with them? Nolan sets his shoulders, shoving his hands in his sweatshirt pocket. His hood weighs down behind him, presumably because his ferrets are in it. Because, as backwards as it first sounds, and trust me, I know where you're coming from, this is the only way to save Earth, he says. They're not saving it, they're trying to trigger the supervolcano, I say. I know, Nolan says. That's the whole point. I stare, my mouth falling open. He's on their side. Raquel was right not to try to save him. Dr. Greer steps forward. Listen, she says, you may yet understand and agree to join us. Our work isn't done. Yellowstone is just the first site. Why'd you have us stop it? Up then! Kinsey turns to Miss McNamara, shaking her cage bars. If you want to make it blow, why'd you have us block it with cement? Miss McNamara regards Kinsey, her eyes cool and calculating. There is nothing about her that even remotely reminds me of the warm and caring park manager we've gotten to know all summer, or even the broken woman we've been working with all day today. No, she's someone else entirely, and this is the first time we're seeing her for who she really is. We had to save our equipment. The real site of eruption will be over a mile south of here. That's what Nolan's been helping me with. He's worked on the surface, directly above your beta tunnels, laying charges to make a different opening for the eruption, the vent we've always intended on using. Nolan straightens at that, looking serious and important. Blocking the Alpha Tunnel was part of the summer plan all along, Miss McNamara says. You all just ran away before we could get you to do it. We had to convince you to come back, you see? Pain and rage pound inside my chest. I don't understand. Then let me tell you a story, Miss McNamara says, her voice biting. About a young girl, like you, who cared a lot about saving the world. She walks back and forth between us. Her family was wiped out in the floodwaters of a hurricane. the first storm to be directly linked to climate change. She grew up and went to law school. She landed a job in the government. She was an environmental lawyer, fighting to get the whole world on board with lowering carbon emissions, going green, saving wild spaces, everything. And do you know what her government did? Nolan crosses his arms. They fired her. She was too much trouble. And then they went ahead and made it easier for people to get away with destroying our planet. But that's when I met Samantha. She saw things my way, and that's when we figured out how to make a real difference. A real difference? I repeat, shaking my head. Are you hearing yourself? My mom wasn't happy about the government ignoring the environment either, but she never decided the best thing to do was to kill off billions of innocent people, Wyatt says. Then she wasn't thinking big enough, Miss McNamara snaps. Wyatt's eyes harden, and I can see tears glisten in them even though he's several pods down from me. The point is, Dr. Greer cuts in, we've been fighting this fight for decades, and nothing is changing for the better. We are officially in the 6th mass extinction. Earth has always bounced back after mass extinctions, if it gets the chance to heal. We are going to speed things along to give it that chance. Samantha found the way, Miss McNamara says. Not only will we kill most of humanity, we will trigger global cooling in the process. That's what's so brilliant about using volcanoes. Yellowstone is our starting point, Dr. Greer explains. Easily, a decade of global cooling, just from the aerosols that will enter our atmosphere from this one alone. But we'll need others to keep the process going, especially if we want to permanently reduce the human population of the planet. We've begun work on 2 other supervolcanoes. That's where you all come in. Us? Eddie asks. My stomach churns with the knowledge that Yellowstone is just the first supervolcano they're planning on blowing. You are the experts, Dr. Greer says, looking at each of us in turn. You can help us at our other sites, just like James and Carlos are doing. Eddie gasps. They're alive! Raquel lets out an inarticulate noise, and somewhere between relief and terror, yes, of course, Dr. Greer says. Why would we waste their experience? They're valuable members of our team. Valuable members? What? Eddie asked. After how you treated us, that's what you think of us as? She doesn't mean we're valuable, Raquel says. She means our work is valuable. Big difference. Their sites are underway, but not nearly as far along, Dr. Greer continues, as if not hearing them at all. We'd hoped the LA quake would be enough of a distraction for the world's geologists, but they're starting to sniff around. Wait, did you cause the LA earthquake? I ask, my brain tripping over itself with the influx of all this horrific information. Now Raquel and Eddie both cry out. It was a relatively simple seismic event to control, Dr. Greer says, but as I said, it's not providing as much of a distraction as we'd hoped, so we need to move on all of our sites more rapidly than planned. I've really appreciated your recording of your methods, by the way, Bree. Those will be of great use. I gag, thinking about my videos serving as a training resource for more destruction. You caused the LA quake, killed our friends, stole us from our families. Eddie can't get the words out fast enough. He grips the bars of his pod, shaking them. You're monsters! We're human. We tend to be monsters by instinct, Miss McNamara says. We're trying not to be, though, Dr. Greer explains. If you'll help us, you'll see. Why would we help you cause a mass extinction? Todd asked, paling more by the minute. Because we're already in one, Miss McNamara snaps. Weren't you listening? We are just moving it faster and setting the world back to the way it should be. You want to save the environment by destroying it? I ask. That makes no sense. Bree, I would think you would understand better than anyone. Dr. Greer looks at me in surprise. Your documentary with your aunt last summer was about regrowth. Fires in Yellowstone that allow for new trees to grow into new forests. That's a crucial part of our ecosystem. The natural ones, maybe, I say, gripping my bars like Eddie gripped his. What you're doing is the opposite of that. As Samantha said, we're already in a period of unnatural disaster, Miss McNamara explains. We have to take responsibility for that and come up with a solution. The time for small efforts has long passed. Drastic action is the only choice we have. So your solution is to set off not just one, but multiple supervolcanoes, kill billions of people, and throw the planet into an endless winter, Maya says. If all goes well, yes, Dr. Greer says. People will survive, Eddie says, his voice filled with determination. They always do. I've never seen an apocalypse movie where they don't. Of course they will, Miss McNamara says. At least the right people will. Dr. Greer nods. Yes, and that could include the 6 of you. We'd like to invite you to join us, like Nolan has. I squeezed the bars of my pod so tight my knuckles hurt. Once upon a time, Dr. Greer had said she wanted me as her student in the future. Was this what she was talking about? Are you serious? Kinsey retorts. A tear falls down her dusty face as she hawks a massive wad of spit in Miss McNamara's direction. How far out of reality are you living right now? You think there's any chance any of us would want to help you kill everyone? I told you she'd swing one way or the other, Miss McNamara says to Dr. Greer. With her loathing of authority, there was the chance she'd take our side. Like I would, Kinsey screams. She's not someone who is going to change her mind once it's made up, though, Miss McNamara continues. We should probably just kill her before she causes any real trouble. You kill her, and you lose any chance of anyone else joining you, I say quickly. I'm seething and shaking. Miss McNamara fooled us all. She's worse than Dr. Greer. She's... Dr. Greer and Miss McNamara both turn, regarding me. I let my hatred flow out of my eyes and stare them down. Bree, I've always admired your creativity and logic, Dr. Greer says. I told you I would be very interested in working with you more. I hope you give our offer to join us serious thought while we're gone. Don't let your peers sway your decision. Gone? I ask, even as I feel like I might hurl at the idea that these murderers think I would ever join their side. We have to set this in motion, Dr. Greer says. You will be safe in here during the initial eruption. Don't worry. Plugging up this tunnel ensured that. Though I really would caution against trying to escape. We can't predict exactly where things will be safe beyond this cave. Then where will you all be? Raquel asks. Miss McNamara narrows her eyes at her. I get the feeling that Raquel is someone Miss McNamara wouldn't mind losing along with Kinsey. We'll return here to take shelter and gather our things once the last pieces are in place. Nolan, she says, turning, we'll need you with us.